What's up everyone, welcome back to another What If video. You know what's really crazy about Saiyans? Whenever they come out of a harsh battle or come close to death, they ultimately get much stronger once they're healed up. That explains why people like Goku and Vegeta are so far ahead of anyone else in the show. Well, in terms of the heroes that is. So that got me thinking, what would the effect be on the story if humans had this ability too? As we've seen, the humans have faced some pretty harsh battles and injuries. So if they had an ability similar to this, they would see a huge benefit from it. So with that question in mind, that leads us to today's what if. What if the humans got Zenkais too? For this video, let's put another like goal. Let's get this video to 3,000 likes, and once we hit that goal, I'll make another part to it. So be sure to drop a like so we can get another part. Let's delve into it. So really, if I wanted, I could start the story from all the way in the beginning of Dragon Ball. The thing is though, I feel that a lot of the changes would be so minimal it isn't worth covering that whole section of the story. In terms of severe or near-death injuries, for the first few sagas, the only people that really faces are Goku, Krillin, and possibly Mercenary Tao. And we will cover those, but we're going to start off with the 23rd World Tournament instead. Overall, it wouldn't change this saga too much, but you'll see why I'm covering it. In the arcs before the 22nd World Tournament and the King Piccolo saga, there are certain characters that get injured and their Zenkais will become prominent here. In terms of life-threatening injuries, mainly we have Goku's fight with Ten Shinhan, and we also have their battle with King Piccolo. And I guess Yamcha's broken leg counts as a severe injury, but it wasn't really near death, so I don't know how big of a boost he would get from that. He still might see an increase in power though. The thing is with Goku, we don't really need to cover him. I mean, it wasn't established here that Zenkais were a thing for him, but given how far ahead he was of everyone and how easily he was able to power up, we can assume that this isn't really going to affect his power since he probably already had those coming to him. The big focus here is Ten Shinhan, and into the 23rd World Tournament we see how this power helps him. He was very close to death against King Piccolo, and in his fight against Goku in the 22nd World Tournament, he saw some pretty serious injuries, such as using the Kikoho and getting hit by a car, and of course fighting Goku. He will see a huge benefit in the 23rd World Tournament. Let's start with his fight with Mercenary Tao. Tao also sees a huge increase in power. I mean, his injury had him so close to dying that he had to become a cyborg. However, Ten Shinhan is still so far above him and he had his own Zenkais, so it kind of balances out and he's still able to defeat Mercenary Tao relatively easily. By extension, Chaozu also had a very bad injury from Mercenary Tao from this arc, but he's unconscious right now and still needs to be healed, so we're not going to see that until later on. Once we get to Ten Shinhan's fight with the Goku, it's going to get a lot closer. Goku had some seriously crazy training, so I'd still assume he's ahead of 10, but the gap will be a lot closer now. This will further cement their rivalry as they're so close in power to each other. I still feel like Goku will get the win here, especially if 10 decides to split into 4 people. So that's the biggest change we see in this arc. 10 and Goku are a lot closer in terms of power, and have a much more solid rivalry. This will develop as we go further into the story. Besides that, there's not too much else in this arc to cover, but I did want to touch upon that because that's going to be the foundation for when we go into Dragon Ball Z. Krillin's fight with Piccolo Jr. also will have the same effect. I mean, he took a pretty good beating. There is one thing I want to bring up though. So as a lot of you can probably tell, Ten Shinhan isn't really considered a human. There are mixed sources on it, but the general consensus is that he's part alien, which is why he has 3 eyes. However, even if we're assuming that he is part alien, he still would be part human. He's never said to be a full Triclops, only a descendant of them, which means he probably has more human blood in him than Triclops, and it would be so diluted that he is mostly a human. The reason I'm bringing this up is that begs a question. Do you think that being a hybrid human would mean he has a lot more potential than a regular human? I'll throw a poll up and you'll see it there. Make sure to vote on it. We've been told that hybrid Saiyans possess great power and potential, but I wonder if the same would apply to humans if they had Zenkais. So if someone was a hybrid human, would they see that same benefit? This is a completely imaginary scenario, so it's tough to say, but I want to see what you guys think. So vote on the poll and give me your opinions. And then you're probably asking, so if humans have Zenkais, does that mean that Gohan's gonna have way more potential by being a hybrid? I'm gonna say no. Yeah, it's definitely possible that this could be the case, but for the sake of this video, I'm going to say that his potential doesn't get any crazier than it already is. I mean, it's already crazy enough, and if we assume that he had even greater potential by having Zenkais as a human too, he would probably be too overpowered for the story. Imagine if instead of having just regular hybrid Saiyan potential, he has something even further beyond that. Yeah, it would be a little bit crazy and overpowered. So we're going to keep him the same. With the brief cover of Dragon Ball and those explanations out of the way, we can now continue into Dragon Ball Z, into the Saiyan saga. Remember that I mentioned Ten Shinhan's rivalry with Goku being a lot stronger here. That actually has some long-lasting effects. At the beginning of the Saiyan saga, when everyone has the reunion, Ten Shinhan probably would end up being there. Since he has a stronger rivalry with Goku and he's a lot closer to the group now, he would probably want to be there to see Goku once again. And by extension, that means Launch is going to be there. Yamcha isn't there though because he still has his relationship issues with Bulma and that would just make things awkward, so he's left out of here. Overall, the start to the Saiyan saga goes pretty normally. Raditz arrives on Earth, he meets Piccolo, and then he's able to track down Kakarot. And he arrives on the island and kidnaps Gohan. Thankfully though, it's not just going to be Goku and Piccolo that head out this time. Both Krillin and Ten have seen great increases in strength over the past few years, and they're more than motivated to go along with them. It sounds pretty crazy, but they're actually really close to Goku in terms of power. Krillin would probably be right under, if not on par with Goku. And I'm gonna say that Tenshinhan's actually the strongest here, even more so than Goku and Piccolo. Why is that? Well, Goku's been focusing on his family life for the past few years. He hasn't really had as much time to train as normal, while on the other hand, Tenshinhan and Krillin have had more than enough time to do that. That explains why Krillin's on par with Goku here and why Ten's above both of them. Sadly for Piccolo, he doesn't have that same benefit that humans and Saiyans have. He's still strong nonetheless. Goku, Krillin, Piccolo, and Ten head over to where Raditz is, prepared to fight the Saiyan invader. Raditz is pretty amused. Kakarot seems like a weakling and he doesn't think that these Earthlings will be able to do anything to him. Little does he know though, collectively, all four of them are around the same power as Raditz, if not above him. Power levels aren't everything though, but they're also more skilled than Raditz would be, and he's outnumbered. This will get pretty interesting. The four of them launch an all-out assault on Raditz, and the Saiyan is having a lot of trouble holding them all off. He's losing ground, but eventually he starts to unleash some powerful attacks. Collectively they're all stronger than him, but individually he outmatches them. Dividing and conquering is able to help him get an upper hand, and he's able to even take Goku as a hostage. This is a big mistake for him though. All of a sudden, he feels a powerful blow in his back. Gohan was watching the whole fight and got very angry, launching himself from the space pod and showing his true power. This temporarily stuns Raditz and frees Goku. Everyone's confused about what Gohan just did, but they don't question it. Together, the four of them all begin attacking Raditz once again, and with this attack from Gohan he's been stunned, leaving him open to a lot of attacks. Raditz doesn't see a way to win, he begins getting desperate and even threatens to blow up Earth. If he's going down, he's going to take everyone with him, sort of as a last revenge. Goku may be wary of killing him here, but I'm sure people like Piccolo and Tenshinhan wouldn't be concerned at all, and especially with his threat now and after he kidnapped his son, I'm sure Goku would be open to it. The four of them all fire powerful ki blasts together. Goku and Krillin break out a Kamehameha, Ten using a Dodonpa, and Piccolo firing a large blast from his mouth. The four blasts all connect with Raditz, swirling together into one massive beam. Raditz attempts to hold it off, barely being able to. He curses the Earthlings and his brother Kakarot, and makes a promise to them. If they kill him here, then the Saiyans will come in 1 year to avenge him. The two other Saiyans that are surviving and part of his squad. With one final push, everyone powers up their beams, launching Raditz into the atmosphere. If the beams don't end up killing him, he'll end up in space and that's gonna do the trick. In 1 year, more Saiyans will arrive. According to Raditz, they're even stronger than him. While they have victory over Raditz, they now realize that they have to prepare for the next Saiyans to arrive. This could potentially be disastrous if they don't get ready. Piccolo brings up the fact that they have to train Goku's son, since he showed some immense power against Raditz. Maybe he'll be helpful if they're able to draw out his potential and get him to be a fighter. And Piccolo says that he's gonna teach him. That's not gonna fly though. Goku thanks him for the suggestion, but he's gonna teach him himself. This is partially good news but also bad news. The good news is that Goku doesn't die here, but the bad news is he's not gonna get some training with King Kai. However, his training on Earth will still be pretty effective. Bulma and Roshi then arrive to the scene and find out what happened. Piccolo takes his leave, telling everyone that he's going to train himself to become stronger than ever, and everyone else now realizes that they have to do the same. There's one issue though, and that is that Goku has to convince Chi-Chi to let him train Gohan. He's tried before and she didn't let him, but now that Earth is at stake, it takes some time to convince her, but once she hears what happened to Gohan with Raditz, then she accepts it. She doesn't want any Saiyans messing with her son, or her husband. Training starts, the Dragon Team groups together, and everyone begins preparing for the Saiyan invasion. Yamcha and Chaozu also join in here as well, looking forward to getting stronger. It takes some time, but eventually Goku is able to ease Gohan into training. He's not going to be nearly as harsh as Piccolo, and since he's Gohan's father, Gohan's going to be a lot more open to it. He is still a little nervous, but he trusts the people around him, so he's eased into it pretty easily. The only issue is Gohan's so far behind everyone and needs to catch up, so Roshi actually helps train Gohan here. Since everyone's already surpassed him greatly, and with his old age, he doesn't feel like he'll be much help against the Saiyans. So in order to provide some assistance, he actually helps train Gohan. Goku does occasionally drop in, but this leaves him open to training with the other humans. And Goku has just the place for them to train. Everyone goes to see Kami, who is more than willing to let everyone train there. Goku's glad to be back with his former teacher, and everyone else is there ready to get some increases in power. Everyone starts to see some really good gains in strength. Roshi is able to teach Gohan some basics of fighting, and surprisingly enough, Gohan's able to get the hang of it pretty quickly. He even shows some more promise than Goku ever did. which is something Roshi thought he would never see from another kid. Many months into the training, Gohan eventually joins the humans as well, mainly being taught by Goku. He doesn't do the same intense training, but he is with them from time to time. There is one concern here. Kami does want to remove his tail like he did with Goku, and he ends up doing so. They don't want to have any Great Ape incidents like they had with Goku, so they just do it to be safe. Since everyone's getting the same Zenkais here, besides Piccolo, who's also training on his own, there's going to be a snowball effect here. Everyone will be growing at the same rate as Goku, and as they increase in power, they'll be able to train at higher levels. So as you could probably imagine, this would snowball and they'd see exponential increases in power. Training has been very successful so far, better than it was even in canon, and eventually a full year passes and the Saiyans arrive on Earth. Let's look at some power levels. As for Piccolo, he has a minor increase in power because he spends all his time training rather than trying to help Gohan, but he still doesn't have the benefit of the Zenkais, so let's place him around 4,000 for his power level. As for the rest of the Dragon team, let's start with Chaozu. Being the weakest, he has a power level of 3,000, which is still way better than he had normally. Ultimately, Gohan's training was a lot more effective, and he's around the same as Chaozu. I mean, he's only 5 here, so that's still really good, and better than normal. As for the other humans, we see some really big increases in power. Yamcha reaches 6,800, with Krillin reaching 7,200. Not far above, we have Goku at 7,500, and at the very top, Tenshinhan at 7,800. These powers are way higher than normal, almost 4 times as much for some of the humans. But when you consider how powerful they'll get from the Zenkais, plus the fact that they'll be doing more intense training with better training partners, like I said, there's a snowball effect that helps them increase their power exponentially. This has the same effect for Goku too, and in his base form, he's not as strong as he was after training with King Kai, but he's still very close to it, which is really good. Oh yeah, and we have Yajirobe, who's probably not going to see that much of a difference in strength. He does get some training in, but he is kind of lazy after all, so we're going to place him at 1,500, which is still better than normal, but not as much of an increase as the other people saw. It's really weird saying that Tenshinhan's the strongest here, but he did start out at a much higher level than everyone and saw some more Zenkais in Dragon Ball. Plus, depending on which option you guys vote for in the poll, he could be even stronger in the future. He and Goku have an even stronger bond as rivals, and that includes Krillin too. This year of training allowed everyone to grow a lot closer, well, besides Piccolo. This does have an effect on Piccolo later on because he's not going to develop the same friendship with Gohan that he had before, and that probably could cause some changes as we go into the future arcs. It's also a little strange for him. The Demon King has finally been surpassed by these humans, and Goku, who's a Saiyan or whatever. He begins to wonder, what's so different about these people that caused them to get so much stronger than him? There's definitely something missing here. There's something that they have that he doesn't, and he wants to find out. Everyone arrives to the battlefield where they see 2 Saiyans, one very tall one and one that's also pretty short. Nappa pulls out his scouter and starts to scan everyone's powers. These guys look pretty weak. The highest of their power levels is only 40? Raditz must have been a real weakling to die to these guys. He's just gonna take them on himself. Everyone's power levels are only in the single and double digits. He first sets his eyes on Kakarot, the one they came here for. He walks up to Goku and then delivers a single punch, holding back heavily. Big mistake. With a single finger, Goku's able to catch this, and Nappa's understandably shocked. Then Vegeta notices what's happening. Kakarot has a brief burst in power, and suddenly, Nappa receives a massive punch to his stomach. Before he knows it, he's getting beat up by Goku. Caught off guard and overpowered, Nappa is knocked flat on the ground. Vegeta is speechless. What just happened? How did he just have that huge increase in power that allowed him to defeat Nappa? He's getting a little infuriated, but decides that he could probably take on the group himself. He doesn't even bother killing Nappa because he knows something fishy's going on here, and he steps up to the plate ready to fight everyone. Something's off about these Earthlings. Maybe they're hiding something, and that's when he realizes they're keeping their power suppressed. This angers him even more, and he tells them to stop playing around. He knows they're hiding their true power and tells them to power up fully, and so they oblige. The numbers on his scouter keep increasing. 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, and not just one of them either, all of them have power levels in the thousands. Some even above 6,000 and 7,000. Vegeta's anger mixes with a sense of anxiety. He's strong enough to take these guys on, he thinks, but together, he may have some troubles. In response, he begins charging up for battle. Luckily for the Dragon team, they already have a plan. Krillin launches a massive solar flare, and Vegeta's blinded by the light. He's then attacked from all angles, a punch, a kick, a ki blast, all of them coming at him at once. His vision starts to come back and then he feels something weird. Someone's grabbing onto his tail. He sees this is what they were planning. Too bad for them though, because that trick won't work on him. He's trained his tail enough for it to not be a weak spot. His vision clears and then he sees Kakarot holding onto his tail. He laughs at Goku. Did he really think that trick would work? Goku gives a smirk back. That's not what he was going for. He's not holding on Vegeta's tail because he thinks it's a weak point, he's holding onto it as a target. Out of nowhere, a small blade of ki comes towards Vegeta. A miniature destructor disc slices Vegeta's tail off, and Vegeta screams in pain. Just like Kami did with Gohan, and as a measure of safety, they planned to go right for Vegeta's tail. Full moon or not, they couldn't risk it. Kami actually suggested this after he took off Gohan's tail, and mentioned that they should try to do this as soon as possible against the Saiyans. Little did they know though, Vegeta could have just transformed into a Great Ape using an artificial moon, so thankfully they saved themselves here by doing that. It's a good thing that Gohan's tail jogged Kami's memory, and gave him the idea. Vegeta's furious, and begins fighting all out. He knows he's not going to win against all these people, similar to what Raditz did. He may be outmatched collectively, but individually, he could take out any one of these people. Vegeta sees two potential targets, the Namekian, Piccolo, and that smaller human, Chaozu. With one massive blast, he's able to wipe out Chaozu, and this acts as a great distraction, because he follows up by attacking Piccolo, killing him as well. He then decides to launch an attack at Gohan too, but Goku's quick enough to jump in front of him, taking some major damage but still being able to block it and save his son. Goku's injured, but overall he's okay, although infuriated that Vegeta would kill Chaozu and attack his son. Not to mention Piccolo, who's now dead, meaning that Kami has died too. Tenshinhan's just as furious after seeing Chaozu die. Vegeta's surprised that Kakarot was able to block his attack, and decides he might as well finish Kakarot off while he's ahead. He then hears someone above him, and looks up to see Tenshinhan with his hands formed into a diamond. Vegeta's hit with a massive Kikoho, and then another and then another. Tenshinhan doesn't overdo it, not wanting to kill himself as well, but these blasts are so powerful that they're actually able to do some damage to Vegeta. Keep in mind how strong this attack is and how much it multiplies the user's strength, especially 3 of them. The smoke clears and Tenshinhan falls to the ground, exhausted but not dead. He knows how risky this move is, but he wanted to use it to avenge his friend Chaozu. The dust clears and Vegeta's in the crater. Much like Nappa, he's unconscious and out of the battle. We'll leave off here for now. So what did you guys think about this part, and what do you think will happen next time? Will Vegeta and Nappa be spared, or will they be killed? What will happen when they go to Namek? Leave your thoughts and suggestions in the comments below, and I'll be sure to check them out and see what you guys think. Also, be sure to vote in the poll and let me know why you guys chose what option you did. As usual, if you liked the video, be sure to drop a like. And remember, let's try and hit that goal of 3,000 likes like I mentioned in the beginning of the video. And if you haven't already, why not subscribe, as well as hitting the bell icon to get notified about future parts of this What If, or any other videos that I make on my channel. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.